what makes China's intelligence approach unique is that if in effect every Chinese citizen is required to collect intelligence for the government.
Now, the Canadian Prime Minister's hailed a new strategic partnership with China during a meeting with leader Xi Jinping yesterday. Mark Carney's visit made clear the country's new objective to move its economy closer to its second largest trading partner, following a year in which Donald Trump ratcheted up trade and political frictions with Canada. But should the West be wary of developing closer ties with China? I'm joined now by Andrew Badger, former case officer in the US Defense Intelligence Agency, and David Shedd, a former deputy director and acting director of Defense Intelligence Agency, and former special assistant to the President of Intelligence under George W. Bush. They penned a new book. It's called The Great Heist: China's Epic Campaign to Steal America's Secrets. Thank you both for joining us on Times Radio. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Alexis.
Good to be here.
Andrew, let's start with you. How vast is China's espionage network? What they're using it for?
China has built the largest, most unprecedented intelligence operation in the entire world. This organization is called the Ministry of State Security. So this is basically China's MI6, MI5, or CIA, NSA combined into one organization. We know it's at least 300,000 people, which is about triple the size of the entire US intelligence community. And what makes China's intelligence approach unique is that if in effect every Chinese citizen is required to collect intelligence for the government if asked under a 2017 national intelligence law. So through this vast apparatus, President Xi has launched an unprecedented campaign to thrust China to the commanding heights of frontier technology. And our argument in this book is that espionage has been a key tool for him to achieve that.
David, what kind of secrets are they stealing, or what are they stealing?
Well, essentially, in order to build off of a plan that is called Made in China 2025, which is global in nature, they go after anything from the data that's associated with sensitive matters to everyday privacy data, as well as then the software and the intellectual property in research and development across the board in order to exceed their own expectations, even in terms of a great modern day leap forward in the modernization of the People's Liberation Army in advance of whatever is to occur on Taiwan in terms of attempting to bring Taiwan to the mainland in terms of a war capability, and also to what we're seeing is that this goes around the globe. And so we've seen, for example, very quickly, two things that are codenamed by Microsoft, the Typhoon attacks. These Typhoon attacks are Salt and Volt, but in the case of Salt, it's embedded in 80 countries in the telecommunication systems in order to certainly get the metadata off of the telecommunications of people's conversations and aspects of the businesses, as well as then investing on their side in having to forego the research and development by stealing those secrets from within.
Is there an issue, Andrew, of companies that move their business to China? Particularly, I'm talking about manufacturing, or car manufacturing move there. And we have heard before that actually there's been quite a lot of intellectual property theft. As we heard there from David, if you can steal a secret, you don't have to spend the money on research and development into developing it. So is part of the reason why we've seen China, this great heist, as you call it, the fact that so many companies, for cost reasons, moved their production to China, thereby risking that quite a lot of their confidential data is going to be pilfered by the government.
Exactly. And one of the cases we highlight in the book is Tesla under Elon Musk. And Elon Musk exhibited this hubris, this complacency of many Western CEOs and how they do business with China, saying, well, I know they're going to steal this data, but we can out innovate them. We're better. We're faster. We're going to have a stronger product. Turns out China did a multi-aspect approach to stealing this critical data from Tesla, including the source code for their auto-driving vehicle for their vehicles, which was termed the billion-dollar thumb drive within Tesla. It was really their crown jewels, their most sensitive R&D. This was stolen by a Chinese employee at Tesla, put back into the Chinese ecosystem. Fast forward, 10 years ago, it would have been unfathomable that Tesla would be beat by a Chinese EV company. Now China commands the EV market in the entire world. BYD, China's EV company, is now surpassed Tesla. They now have market dominance in the EV space, and this is having ripple effects into Europe, where now they're dumping these EV vehicles into the European market at below cost, and it's swamping out the European market. So we're seeing the ripple effects across the global economy of this global campaign of espionage by China.
David, we started this segment by talking about Mark Carney and Canada looking to forge closer relationships with its second biggest trading partner, which is China. What do you make of the Canadian Prime Minister's decision?
Well, this is what's so interesting to me. We naively went into pushing China into and then them acceding to the World Trade Organization in December of 2001, so 25-ish years ago, with the belief that by having China come into the International Order for Trade and Finance, they would behave themselves and would actually be partners in terms of the international trade relations. When in fact, what that gave them was access to the very thing that you asked in your previous question to me, in terms of access to the kinds of things that they want to steal. So what I would be is very leery about this agreement between Canada and Prime Minister Carney and the Chinese, in that it will give them market access in Canada. And by extension, I think the United States has to be very concerned that it might be used for a platform to access the United States as well from Canada, given the apparent largesse that comes with this new trade agreement that Prime Minister Carney has inked with Xi Jinping.
I have been involved in making various programs about scams and consumer affairs. And one of the programs I looked into social media and the amount of data that they can collect about you. Essentially, what does your phone know about you? We looked into some of the terms and conditions of TikTok. And I have to say, I'm not naive. I know that social media companies make money off your data, but I was quite alarmed by the amount of data that an app like TikTok was collecting about its users. Andrew, do you think that we've all, again, perhaps a bit like Elon Musk, moving quite a lot of the manufacturing of Tesla to China, been a bit naive by our usage of things like TikTok, which essentially is also another great heist, this time of our personal data?
Exactly, Alexis. It's really difficult not to underscore the extent to which China has stolen the global data, which has touched upon essentially every citizen in America. To give a few quick examples, one, they stole the secret records of every classified employee in the United States, which is called the Office of Personnel Management. They stole every file from that in 2015. They've also stolen data from Equifax, which is the credit provider for almost half of American adults. They've stolen healthcare data from some of the largest healthcare companies in the United States. And what this vast sum of data has given China is an asymmetric advantage in AI. They stole a lot of this data, not even knowing what they were going to do with it. A lot of the U.S. Counterintelligence officials weren't concerned because they didn't think China could actually do anything meaningful with it at the time. But now China, through multiple cases of espionage in the AI sector as well, is now using that foundation of data to supercharge their AI capabilities. And now they're leading in a number of fields in that area.
Look, finally, David, before we run out of time, today there is a protest going on as we speak. It's a proposal for a new Chinese embassy complex in London. It's almost certain to be formally approved next week, despite concerns about potential security risks and the effect on Hong Kong and the other issues in the country. Do you think that the government is right to approve this new super embassy? If needed, actually, if that ends up happening, but do you think that government approval was correct?
I do not. I think that this will be a platform for the Chinese to not only extend into the UK spying capabilities. My understanding is that this chancery, this building, includes the secret rooms down below that would be able to, and it's adjacent to various cables and that sort of thing in terms of fiber optics. and that sort of thing. But also, I would hate to see London become the Vienna, Austria of the Cold War era in terms of the spy capital in reaching out to the rest of Europe as well. And I think the size and the magnitude of what the Chinese have put out there for this new chancellery, this new embassy, as you describe it, as a mega location, will serve exactly for that platform. And so I would advise against approving it.
Andrew, David, thank you for giving me your time. Really good to speak to you. The book is called The Great Heist, China's Epic Campaign to Steal America's Secrets. It's out now. And thank you both to David Shedd and Andrew Badger for giving us their time.